2, 1.
All right. Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. If you don't know me, I'm Ming, the president of Consulting Club, and I'm a second-year MBA student in TSPM. Joining us today is Joyce. She's an amazing person. She
Thank you.
graduated from the MBA program at UW Darden, and then she worked for McKinsey for a couple of years, and now she's running her own business. So she's a super woman. So welcome to the show, Joyce.
Okay, hi. So here with me are the students from University of Wisconsin, Madison. Very nice to meet you again. So today we're going to cover the topic of everybody's headache, which is networking. I've collected a few questions from you guys. I'm trying to get that incorporated in today's content, but if there is any question that I failed to cover, feel free to just raise your hand, ask questions, participate. This time is yours. So let's go ahead and jump in. First, let's look at this number. So I want to tell you why networking is very important. So 80% is what people say, like 80% of the jobs in the US are hired through networking. That doesn't mean you network and it will give you a job, but networking builds the connection, get your foot in the door, and then knock on the things that you never thought you had a chance for. So 80%, that's a shocking number. So this is why we need to do networking. And I want to give you a few personal stories that for myself and also for the students I coached, and also for stories that I have seen. So for example, for myself, how I got my first experience in the US was with the senator's office. That was from a job fair. But after that, it was all through networking. So I went to an event and then I met some person and I told them, hey, I'm a student. I'm looking for a kind of opportunity to practice, not necessarily in finance because I was studying finance, but any experience that could help me, get my experience in the US. And then the more people I tell about that, they kind of just know me and they know the needs. And then they know I work at senator's office. So they say, oh, I have another office kind of assistant work that I could, make connections for you. So I work at the US China Chamber of Commerce for a few months just to help out with office stuff, with kind of getting me some experience with, just the business talking and how to answer the phone in a standard way, how to communicate with clients. And then after that, I went to some kind of I went to a lot of networking events. And then one of the events, so you never know which one will come to fruition. You just take your name card, right, and just give it to people and introduce yourself, prepare a good story. So I remember the job after that was through networking for sure. So I went to this luncheon that was for the scholarship. So one of my friends from school got the scholarship and she was invited and she was allowed to bring a plus one. And so since she didn't have the plus one, so I was tagging along. And then at the luncheon, right next to us on the table is the dean of our school. And she told us, so my friend was like, wow, I think that's our dean. I said, yeah, it is. So let's talk to him. So we were like, oh, hi, Mr. Dean, I'm Joyce, and she's, we introduced ourselves, and then I just politely gave him my business card and just talk a little bit about my experience coming from China, looking for a position here and what's happening. So it's just some small talk, and then that's it. And then a few months later, that was the summer, and I didn't find the summer internship by then. It was kind of like July. So I was, remember just one very ordinary afternoon, laying in bed, I was thinking what I'm gonna do, and I started checking young email on my phone, and I received an email from the dean asking, oh, I have this opportunity for options analysis at the CBOE, which is the Option Board of Trade. Are you interested? Of course I'm interested. How am I expecting to have like an experience in the US related to my major? That's like the dream next step. So I responded right away, and then he said, he had my business card from that luncheon, and he thought, because they're looking for someone who's bilingual with Chinese and Mandarin and English. So he thought about me. So I will never get that opportunity without going to those events. And of course, I met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people, and not everybody could have the job for me, right? But you never know. So it's a numbers game. I always tell people the more kind of seeds you spread, the planted, right, the better chance that you have for yourself for later. And after that, and then just, I continue doing the networking, talking to people. I identify one of the a few target companies that I really, really love to work for. And I wanted to stay in Chicago. So Morningstar was like a financial services firm downtown. I just love that company. So I network from, let's say, the entry level associate to the higher level executives. I went to all the events I could find, and whenever I see people from Morningstar, I go there and talk to them. So I really know the company, and when there is when they have the appropriate level opens up, I applied. And then when I interview, they say, "Oh, you really know us so well." So those are all from networking. And I want you to know, let's say for MBA students, some will say, "Oh, I want to break into MBB for consulting." Is that possible? I've seen a lot of cases from non-target schools. They make those opportunities happen through networking. And that just happens every day. The other coach that I recruited to my team the other day, she was the same exact case, from non-target school, getting to a McKinsey offer through networking, of course, and a lot of practice on the case. But networking help you understand the company, help you kind of polish your communication skills, help you make that connection, and those are all going to flow into your flow into your interview performance. So don't expect to just show up and ace the game one day, but continuous practice, okay, through the daily communications. That will help you go a long way. So that's why we need to do networking. And then we can talk about how. Okay, so here are a few topics I want to cover, but you, of course, feel free to ask questions along the way. So starting from the beginning, when we do networking, what should be in your mindset? What is the goal for networking? I'm going to call on people. So Sitara, I see that. Did I say your name right?
Yeah. You can call me Sid.
Yep.
You can call me Sid.
Sid, yeah. So Sid, what do you think is our goal for networking?
I think the main goal in networking is connecting with people, like know their experiences and learn from their experiences.
Yeah, to learn more information. Yeah, learn about experiences and get to know people. It's very good. And I receive questions about, so when I do the networking thing, how can I just make sure they can refer me, or they make sure they remember me? I think that's the goal, right? Of course we have some kind of intention in mind, but that's kind of too transactional. Networking is, like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you are running this kind of relationship, you're managing it. It's for the long run. You don't expect to talk to some stranger one day and next day, boom, there's an opportunity and they want to give it to you. You must be so good, or so impressive for the first time. So that doesn't happen all the time. Of course, it happens to some people, and that involves luck as well. So I think for networking, there's a few steps, right? The goal for the first step is to get someone to like you. And they want to get to know you. They think you're a nice person. You're not some kind of psycho from the internet, right? So they like you. And then the next step, they trust you. You tell them about your experience, right? They trust that you can do the job. They know you're a reliable person. And then the next step, if there is an opportunity coming up, they will think about you and they want to help you. But also during that process, you may offer your help as well. So don't just ask about what they can do for you, right? Think about what you can do for them. And this reciprocation is kind of natural in our genes. If you help them more, or help them enough, or help them as much as you can, eventually there's something that comes up, they will think about you. That's just how it works. So think about the three-step kind of process. You first get them to like you, and then trust you, and then eventually they will help you. Any questions? So I mean, the goal is like this, right? Eventually it will happen. But if you are saying, I just wanted to talk to them so they can refer me for some kind of job, Of course, you can ask that, but I think the best practice is you never ask, and then they know you're a student. Everybody's looking for a job. People who are having a job, they want a better job, right? Everybody has that goal in mind. You don't need to say it outright. If they have the capability, if they like you and trust you already, they will say it. They will offer it. So I think the best practice is you don't need to ask that. Let's imagine if you ask somebody, oh, can you refer me to this job? Or can you just, give me this opportunity? What are they going to say on the spot? They will feel very uncomfortable. They will feel cornered, right? If they say, okay, maybe we'll see, right? That kind of is a no. It's just
True.
the culture. It's hard. It's hard. So I think on the phone or when you're meeting someone, especially for the first few times, don't ask those questions, but just ask for advice, ask about their experience, ask what you can do for them to demonstrate and build a trust, and then nice things will come. Okay, so that's our goal, and that the mindset is quite important. And then let's talk about what kind of ways that you can do networking. So LinkedIn is what everybody knows, right? Here in the US, it's very popular. Almost every professional has a page and manage it regularly. So you can use LinkedIn to build your connection, but that's all virtual. And now the world, is passing kind of the pandemic stage. So you can go to professional events or you can go to volunteer events. And through those events, I think those face-to-face connection is more meaningful. And it's easier to build connections that way. So you go to a professional events, you dress up professionally, you show up, and then you walk what they call the work the room, right? So you talk to a group of people and then introduce yourself and listen to their story, exchange business card, and then follow up. And that's how you build your connection. And the volunteer event is even better because you show interest or you show some kind of commitment to a cause. And all the people there are interested in the same kind of thing. So they see that you're contributing to this society. Of course, you're a decent person. That's assumed. It's way more effective than reaching out of nowhere on LinkedIn. So I strongly encourage you to go to those physical events if possible. Sometimes it's even worth to, let's say you are in Wisconsin, fly to Chicago, fly to New York, fly to those major cities for a few days and then attend those events. And then for people that you make connection over LinkedIn, you could shoot them a message, say, I happen to be in New York for a few days. If you are open for like a 5 minutes, 10 minutes coffee chat, I'll buy you a cup of coffee. Who will say no if you are meeting them downstairs from their work building, right? They just take the elevator down and then meet you. Make it more convenient for them. Okay, so those are the channels, but in terms of how exactly we can practice later. And then, so a lot of people ask me, so what? So I build a connection, right? I have a lot of people on in my LinkedIn network, and I met the people at the events. And what's the next step? How can I manage that? How can I make sure it lasts for a long time? What is your thought, Ming?
Well, I think in any relationship, it's always a two-way communication. So we should communicate with them on a, I don't know, maybe frequently, but I'm not sure how often we should communicate with them. Yeah.
So you don't want to build connections and send them a message every day. That would be what they call creepy, right? And you don't have the energy to do that. Let's say you have maybe 100 people in your connection. You cannot do that. So how often is not easy to answer. It just depends. But I think what you do is, let's say you reach out to people on LinkedIn or you meet people at the events. I'm pretty sure not everybody would hit it off right away, right? Some people you feel more connected. Some people you just feel maybe they're not interested in you, or their just area of profession is not where you're most passionate about. So I think you can just, I mean, it doesn't sound good. I say select your group of people, but eventually you're gonna just be drawn towards some of the people than others, right? Not like 100 people, you have to maintain that big of a network. So some of the questions were saying, oh, we can only manage certain people in our network. That's true. You have limited amount of energy. So when you let's say, meet people and then talk to them, you will get a feel who is more, let's say, more of a more connected with you, and who are more maybe useful, or who are like more who share more interest with you. So you kind of just group those people and say, oh, these are the people that I want to stay connected for a long time. And then what they like, what they don't like, what you guys discussed, write those information down. Like say, keep track in the spreadsheet. I say when you met, right, what you're talking about. I say if they mentioned they have a dog, what's their dog's name? And if you write those information down, and you don't need to memorize it all the time, but then you review it from time to time, right? And the next time when you see, let's say, a news about an area that they work in, and then for example, lately there are so many layoff news, right? If you know a contact at Meta, and then you just check in with them, see, I just want to make sure everything is well. If there's anything I could be of help, let me know. That'll be a very, nice message, right? It's not thinking about what you need, it's thinking about what they need. And how often, I think it's like whenever you see something that reminds you of them, or whenever you have a major update to make. I know people who send out their regular updates to their group of people. I mean, I think it's nice, right? People love to read about the gossip kind of thing. People love to know what other people are doing, and in a non-invasive way. So you're not asking them to respond. You're just saying, hey, this is, 3, right? And this is my updates, and just want to let you know I finished the first year at my MBA program, and I really enjoyed it. Here are the 3 things I learned. And what I'm trying to do in the next few months this is my goal, right? And I'm committed to, let's say, improving my professional network by reaching out to 10 people a day. And then if you know someone who is in so industry, that I would appreciate if you can make an introduction. And then you leave it like that. If they want to respond, they respond. If don't respond, I mean, you send it out to all your network contacts. It's like you write one email and you send it out to like 100 people. And then if some people respond, it's your gain. So I think when we do networking, it should be that type of mindset. You don't expect the return or response right away, but you continue investing in them and doing the good work, and just grow your network from there. Okay, so let's practice. LinkedIn is like the cold call, and then is what we use the most, right? So on LinkedIn, normally it takes a few steps. You first send a connection request, and then when they accept the request, you send another message to ask to schedule a phone call. And then you do the call, and then you do what? So that's practice along the way. First, what would you say in a LinkedIn connection request? Let's say to Joyce. I'm going to call on people. I mean, Jerry, you are not showing the camera, but are you still online?
Yeah, I'm still online.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi,
Want to
Joyce.
try practice this together?
Yeah, sure. So I would like to say to Joyce Lubell, maybe I'll just say, hi, Joyce, I am Jerry, who attended your like consulting introduction like workshop in this morning, and I kind of like to understand more about consulting career. Can I connect you? Like for a sure. I'll just send you a short introduction about myself, about what's my connection with you, and like what am I possibly want to discuss more with you for the first attempt.
Okay. That's a good message, right? So it shows some kind of personal connection. It reminds me that how we met, and then who you are, and then what you want. Yeah. So that's a short, sweet message. And then here, what we need to keep in mind is for the initial connection request, it has limited characters.
Yeah.
So you cannot go beyond certain words, I think 100 words or something. And that's fine. So for your goal for this step is just one goal, right? Which is get them to say accept.
Yeah.
Instead of ignore. So you can either remind them how you met, or you can say something about how you are or why you're reaching out. Let's say if you had never met this person, but why out of nowhere you just want to connect with this person. Maybe they're some of their experience is quite impressive, or do you have certain things in common? Say, oh, I saw that we both went to so school, and then now you're in this industry that I'm really, really passionate about. I'd like to get to know more, so I want to stay connected, right? So give them a reason. And also, I think it's important for people who are complete strangers, say something that they want to hear. You know what I mean? Is sometimes people just say, oh, hi, I see that you are from this school and I want to attend this school, or I'm attending this school, I want to connect with you. That's an okay message, but what's in there for me? Let's say everybody's busy, right? Why should I just grant my time? And then some people are, very impolite. They say, oh, can I have an hour of your time to talk? Or can we just maybe schedule some time tomorrow to talk? Well, I mean, especially unless that person is extremely nice and wants to dedicate it to helping people, I think it's just really hard. They have their own life. They're all busy. Why should they carve out an hour? I mean, that's a big ask. So make sure when you ask, you want to make it small and easy to do. Let's say 10 minutes, 15 minutes. If they really like you, the conversation can go, let's say, beyond 15 minutes. I've seen that many, many times. But if you initially ask, 30 minutes, an hour, that's not considerate. So, okay, after, let's say, I accept the invitation, what would you do, Suri?
Hi, Joyce. Can I have a questions before we move to the next questions?
Yeah, sure, Ming.
Yeah. So we're talking about how we should send a request to connect with the people. Maybe we met for the first time, or we don't know that person yet. But is it always should we always tell them about what we want out from them? Like, I'm reaching out to you because I want to understand more about the industry. To me, it sounds like, okay, you reach out to me for the first time, but seems like you are requesting my help. It's something it's not so natural, and it's not like a genuine connection to me.
So let me rephrase what you're asking. You're saying in the initial invite, you want to make sure you tell them your true intention. Otherwise, you feel you're deceiving something.
So okay,
okay, let's just say if you're sending me a message, what would you say, or what do you think you should say?
Oh, in my case, I just Jerry introduce myself and how I connect with you. But rather than saying, okay, I want to understand more about consulting so I can connect with you, I would say something I feel impressed about you, about the story you share. And because you are an interesting person, so I want to connect with you. And just that. That's what I would say. Yeah. But my question is about should we always say announce our true purpose in the first request? Like of course I'm reaching out to you because I have a purpose, but I don't want to say it the first time.
Gotcha.
So what's the advice?
Gotcha. Yeah. So I understood you in the first place. So you feel you have to say something like, I reach out to you because I want to have another conversation with you. Otherwise, it's not like your true intention. So I think your intention should be broken into several small parts. For this step, your intention is to stay connected. Right? So it's okay that just say, I really like your background. I love your stories. I want to stay connected. And then once it's connected, it's up to you when or immediately to send them a request or send them another message without the word limitation. Just say, so here, thank you for accepting the invitation. It's really great to be connected. Right now, I think I'm in my second year of MBA or first year, and I'm trying to adjust my way in the US culture. And I see that you came to the US, let's say from China 9 years ago, or were you in the same, I'm pretty sure you were in the same shoes, and it seems that you navigate your way through. So I was wondering if I can, take 10 minutes of your time kindly to get some advice from you.
All right. So it sounds
so you don't, Yeah, so it's like gradually you're making your way in, right? So there's a theory about if you want to make a big ask, you can ask for a small favor first, and they're more, they already invest in you, they are more likely to invest more.
Okay.
Right.
That's
and
good.
then you ask for a connection and they gave you a connection and you thank them for it. So there's already like a back and forth, just the kind of interaction.
That
So,
makes
and then
sense.
you make another request, but that doesn't have to be right away. So if you don't need it right away, you can stay connected. And when you need it, right, when you are, say, in the time that you're looking for certain advice, you can think about, oh, that had this connection and she might be helpful, and then I reach out.
Okay.
Right. So
great.
this is the second request. What you do after that, you send a message. And then let's say if I say, sure, yeah, I'm happy to help, right? We schedule a call, and which is tomorrow. So what do you do? So this time we give 3 a chance.
Yes, Joyce. Actually, thank you for sharing your insights. I'm joining this meeting for second time with you. So actually, when I reach out to the person, like in the LinkedIn, afterwards, like I prepare for, like, the second thing I do after reaching out the person is basically I do what I wanted to know from that person, like preparing my work before going to reach out to the person the second time, like making things up, like preparing the questions I need to ask the person, and gain some knowledge from them and their work culture as well. And also, as you said, like we need to talk to them, like what they really like about, like what they're in the what their I mean their work is about, and something like that, so that like I can reach out to the person second time, maybe in the email or LinkedIn, and then ask for a coffee chat for like 15 to 20 minutes or maybe 30 minutes. So that's what I would do in the second meeting, maybe.
Yeah. So that's very good. Ahead of the call, you will do some research about this person, get to know their background. And then a lot of people have other social kind of presence, right? Not just on LinkedIn, maybe on some articles they publish somewhere else, or they have attended some kind of events and with their pictures and stuff. So the more you know this person, the more you will have kind of, where to gear towards the conversation. And then ahead of the call, you prepare some questions. That's very good practice. And sometimes I would even send the questions ahead of time to that person, so they can kind of prepare mentally, right? And then also along your resume.
Yeah.
So ahead of the call, maybe 1 or 2 days, I will probably send them an email, say, I really look forward to having the call with you in 2 days. And here's my resume, just in case you want to get to know me a little bit. And then I listed a few questions, for the call, but we can also go off the script and discuss, like if you have other suggestions. And then when you do the research, right? So there was a time I had interview with a major company during MBA. I look at their LinkedIn and I saw the person publish some article on the newspaper, and I read the article that was about his kind of personal type of life. And then so I was like prepared. Wow. So I feel I really get to know him so much. And then I prepared a lot of things to discuss, like in common with him. And that just gave me a lot of confidence for this interview. So I think the more you know about this person, the more you can talk about. But you don't have to be like, oh, I Googled you around and then I see a lot of information. You don't have to bring it up. But if let's say she's a cat person, or this person, it has a baby, and then you can, kind of just ask those questions, asking that they might be interested in. I think it will be helpful. So that's for the call. And then when you are
another question.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I love questions.
Yeah. So when you research about a person you're gonna meet, then should we bring up some sort of private things we figure out from them? Like, do you think that person will think, oh, they are stalked?
So let's say your question is whether we should bring up the personal things that you know about them.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say it this way. I wouldn't be like, Joyce, I read your article on, let's say, another channel the other day, and I know you have 2 children, and there are 5, and then 2, and then, like, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't say those kind of things. That just sounds creepy, right? But if you say, oh, Joyce, I read an article about you the other day and that was so impressive what you did. And it must be hard being a mom, right? My sister just delivered a baby and she said, well, life is so chaotic right now. I cannot believe you manage work and family at the same time. Say something nice, say something complimentary. Don't say like, I know this about you. And then what, right?
Oh,
So there,
okay,
you know
gotcha.
something and that's to your power. There, you can decide how you use it.
Nice. Thanks for your advice.
Right? Or if you want to be more subtle, you'd be like, you don't mention the article thing. You can just say, oh, hey, Joyce. So like, what about you? Like, are you like, like what do you do outside work, right? And then they can tell you, oh, I have babies and stuff. And then you'd be like, oh, that must be hard. And you can build up the conversation.
All right. That
Okay.
makes
So I
sense.
see a hand. Thank you for the question. So, Sarup.
Saurabh.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, Joyce. Thank you for the session. The last session was really nice as well. So just have a question. So there are certain companies or roles where we do not have a network, essentially that there's no one from your alma mater or there's no one from your MBA school or something. There's no common ground or connection. So how would you go about reaching them on LinkedIn? Because they do not have, if you're from the same university, they might have some inclination to respond to you. Not always, but if there's no common connection, they do not have any inclination or they do not really need to respond to. So look, how do you stand out or how do you get these responses?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So it makes it a lot easier if you are, let's say, alumni, you have the school connection or past work connection or some common friends. But most of the time we don't. And that's called cold call, right? You reach out to that person and then you have to make extra effort. And also you will expect less. So for, let's say, alumni reach out, maybe you send out 10 messages, you can expect 7 responses. And then 2 of them may end up a real call, and then 1 of them may be really helpful. And for a totally cold call, you may send out 100 messages and then expect maybe 30 responses, and then maybe just 1 person showed up on the call and to be helpful. You never know. I just think if you don't have a common kind of relationship thing, then it's just the likelihood of turning into something fruition is lower, but it's not impossible. So I receive messages from total strangers almost every day, and they just say, hey, I saw that you were transitioning from finance to consulting. I think it's very interesting, and I'm thinking about doing the same thing, and then I would like to get your advice. Right? If you say polite, if you say something that, that's a connection, right? Even though we're not going to the same school, but you are interested in my path, or you are interested in my company, and there's our connection. So you can build it, you find it.
Yeah. Thank you for that. But it is also very tricky kind of to get that much amount of information in only 300 or 200 words initially. So yeah, it's going to be a little tricky, I feel. What is on that? So because LinkedIn, do you reach out through the LinkedIn email or something big and then write a big message? Big message is also no because people do not have the time to read that, but kind of compressing this information into like 200 words, it's also kind of difficult. So just if you can throw a light
say
on
what is the most important. Yeah, I know the word limit is kind of limiting how much you can express, but on the other hand, who wants to read a long message when they have already allowed to read that word for fun, right? So just say something very short and sweet. What is the most thing they should care about, right? They care about themselves, so you compliment them, and then they care about why you're interesting. Why are you reaching out? So you say maybe 1 or 2 sentences about like, oh, I'm here for advice, or I'm here to get to know you or get to know your stories. And then what are you interested in? Maybe they're transitioning from this to that, or maybe how they're adjusting their life in the US. I think that's just 3-4 sentences.
Yep.
You don't need to send them a long message about who you are and your background, because if they're interested in you, they will click on your profile. And make sure your profile is presentable with a decent professional Photoshop, right, with showing your face. And then also the the past experience list out in a nice, neat way.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah. So that will help you. All right, those are very great questions. Then let's say you have the call and that ends well. What do you do after? I see who I haven't called up. Xiyang.
Hi.
Hi.
That after the call, maybe I could get in touch with them and send them email. Maybe I'm not sure how frequently should I connect with them, or like to send any greetings email to follow up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also my question.
Okay. Yeah. So after the call, you send them messages, but I think more importantly is within 24 hours of the call, you send them a thank you letter. Like I said, they're not obligated to talk to you, right? So they spend this time out of their busy schedule, and you should show that you are really grateful. And then you send them a thank you letter. It doesn't have to be long, but you maybe mention 1 or 2 things you took away from this meeting, or that you thought it was really memorable, or you follow up with something that you discussed in the call. Let's say if you mention, for example, like I love food, right? If someone talks about a new restaurant I'm excited about, so I was like, oh, what's the name of it? And you say, oh, I cannot think about it off the top of my head, so maybe I'll get back to you. And in your thank you email, you can bring that up. You can say, oh, here's the name of that restaurant and here's the link for that, for their menu. And those would be nice. Those are saying that you care about me, you love the conversation we have, and then it was worthwhile. And next time when you ask for something, they will want more waiting to help you than before. So instead, some people just do the call and then just disappeared. And then maybe 3 months later, when they need something else from you, they will send you another email asking for a call. If that happens, do you think this person will say yes, or they just ignore the email? Right? So do the thank you letter thing, do it nicely, put in some thoughts. It doesn't have to be long, within the 24 hours. The earlier, the better. And then after that, how frequent, I think it really just totally up to how you feel about it. Like I said, manage the network, right? Let's say if you see some article that reminds you of me or my industry, or you thought I might be interested, or you just have a major update, send me updates. The frequency is all depends on person by person.
Hi, Joyce. I just had a question.
Yeah.
Like during the call with the networking person, what kind of questions do you recommend to ask him so that you make the conversation interesting?
That's a very good question. What do you think?
I was like, first we should ask about his experiences, the person's experiences and his advice.
Yeah.
And what type of challenges does a person in that role should be expecting? So,
Yeah, so that's a very great start. And the reason is everybody loves talking about themselves.
yeah.
And if they had a great conversation with you, most likely they had a great time talking about themselves. So Dale Carnegie, the very motivational speaker and write a lot of books about human nature. He's like, okay, if you want them to like you, you ask them about their personal stories, right? So you ask about themselves. And then because this call is also about you, you want them to get to know you, how awesome you are, so they can, remember you and then help you along the way. Then you sneak in your experience or the things that you want them to know about you. So for example, you ask them, so it seems like you did something so, and then that was great. And then could you maybe share more light on how exactly did you do it? And they mentioned it, and so you chime in and you said, oh, that's totally true. I remember when I was doing something and it was blah, 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 right? And then you brought something that was in common, and then he will be like, oh, exactly. And you're so right. And then just like a back and forth conversation. Right. And also your introduction, your self-introduction right at the beginning of the call also is very important. A lot of people just say, oh, I was born and raised in China, and then I went to a certain university, and literally they repeated what's on their LinkedIn or resume. I wouldn't recommend that way of introducing yourself. I think you should do the homework and then summarize yourself for that person. What is the most interesting about you? What do you think people may want to know you out of all those facts? Summarize them maybe in 3 ways or in 3 points, right? Or even 2 points, or professionally, personally, you know, categorize them just like when you do the case interview, right? You know, have a framework, have a structure. And then they will be more, it will give them an easier time to remember you. If you are just literally give them an information download, who I am, where I'm from, which university I go to, I mean, it's really hard to remember and it's not impressive. Right? Make it the story.
Yeah.
And yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So that's like a whole cycle about how you make connections on LinkedIn. And then when you're, so outside LinkedIn, when you do the in-person kind of events and then showing up, making connections, that's a lot easier. So it all starts with self-intro. So I encourage everybody on this call to take the time, think about what is the most impressive about you? What do you want people to know about you? And summarize and then make it like a 1 or 2 minutes self-intro before you start networking. And also polish your resume. Have a decent resume, and whoever you talk to, send it out along. And if you need any help, let me know.
All right.
All right. Any other questions?
Yeah. No, I think like we are almost at time, and
okay, cool.
I also have a hard stop right now running for my class. Yeah.
Of course.
So
thank you so much for attending.
Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us today. I have to run right now, but I don't know like, if Joyce have a couple more 1 or 2 minutes, you guys can chat together. And thank you, Joyce, for joining us today and sharing amazing tips for our club members. I learned a lot as well. So
my pleasure.
Really appreciate your time. Yeah.
I'm glad it's helpful. Well, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Have a good one, everyone.
Thank you.